What's up, everybody? This is Colin from Holistic Heritage Homestead. I hope you're all well. Folks, we grow year-round. What do we grow? Well, I'm happy you asked. Soil. Soil, soil, soil. Many gardeners, especially beginner gardeners, need a perspective change. They need a shift in perspective. Folks, we are growing soil year-round, building soil year-round, and that means feeding soil year-round. Now, sure, we have some plants growing. We have stuff in containers that we brought indoors. We have garlic planted outside. We have our perennials in the ground going, doing their thing. Now, gardening is a year-round thing. Besides planting and getting your seeds together, getting your resources, potting soil, or whatever, you should be building soil, growing soil year-round. Now, behind me, I've got some amazing clean out from our chicken brooders, okay? I've got some coffee grounds, all right? And some wood ash in that black container, all right? I am about to go sprinkle that stuff all over our garden beds, our hugelkultur beds, and in our compost pile. I'm also going to be adding some of the wood ash into our chicken coop. We use the deep litter method. Please check out our videos regarding the deep litter method. It's the only way to go, or rather the best way to go, in my opinion, when raising chickens. Deep litter method is amazing. So I want to talk to you folks about soil microbiology, all right? Beginner, intermediate, and advanced gardeners, listen up. You might be thinking, well, is anything happening in my soil? Yes, folks. Yes, absolutely. Soil microbiology, some of it does die when it gets really cold, okay? When it gets to freezing temperatures and below, some of it will die. That's okay. And much of it will stay there in the soil, but it might not be in the first few inches, okay? So one of the reasons that we add mulch and we top dress and we add soil amendments like the coffee grounds behind me, the litter from the brooders behind me, and the wood ash is essentially what we're doing is we're increasing soil depth. Now, the top few inches of your soil might be relatively dead, okay, or dormant. Much of the microbiology, besides dying, stays alive and goes into like a hibernation state. So the metabolic processes, they slow down, okay? They're taking it easy. They're just chilling. They're getting ready to party it up when the temperatures rise. So what we're doing by increasing soil depth is we're insulating the soil microbiology, okay, and the fungi and the protozoa and all of that great stuff. So focus on depth of soil. Bring your soil level up, and the great mixers of nature, okay, rain, wind, insects, earthworms in particular, okay, they will mix things up and they will be moving and grooving and doing their thing. You don't have to work. All you need to do is apply, all right? So what happens is some of the soil microbiology, they'll actually create like spores and they'll actually be protected from the cold weather. And then once the temperatures rise, they'll become active again and populations will rise. Another thing that some of the soil microbiology will do is, it's really cool. Inside the cells, they'll actually create or have kind of like an antifreeze, okay, antifreeze. So please check out my previous video discussing why certain plants taste better when it's cold, okay? Just like plants create kind of an antifreeze with sugars and whatever things to prevent freezing, much of the soil microbiology will do the same thing. So what they're doing is they're using that antifreeze in a way that prevents, as water freezes, it expands. It prevents the cell walls from breaking. So your soil might look lifeless and it might be relatively lifeless on the first few inches or so, but it's alive. It's alive. And I encourage you all to focus on feeding the soil. The soil will then feed your plants. Many gardeners focus on feeding the plants, feeding the plants, feeding the plants. And that's great. And sometimes that does happen directly. But one thing a lot of people don't do enough is focus on feeding the soil microbiology. they are going to make the nutrients bioavailable for your plants to then uptake said nutrients. All right, so feed your soil, stay active year round. And one thing you can do to improve your soil, pretty much no matter what soil type you have, sand, silt, clay, rocky soil, whatever, is add organic matter. That is one of the reasons that compost is, in my opinion, one of the best, or arguably the best, fertilizer, mulch, soil amendment you can use, because organic matter does two amazing things. Okay, two of the amazing things that compost does, rather, is it helps hold moisture. Okay, you can really dramatically increase your moisture retention, your water retention on your topsoil and on your whole property by adding organic matter. And at the same time that you actually increase the amount of moisture, that water that it can hold, you actually help with drainage as well. Yeah, I know, super cool. Holds moisture and helps with drainage. So no matter what soil type you have, when in doubt, compost it out. All right, add that compost. All right, we prefer no-till. I do think that tilling is okay or good or great even in some circumstances, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 times. And I won't get into the details of that in this video. I have mentioned it in other videos talking about the benefits of occasional tilling in certain contexts, okay? But in general, we prefer the no-till method. So when we just add everything on top like a lasagna, spreading it out, and not in one giant uniform like sheet, okay? Sprinkle so that your layers have pathways for the earthworms to mix everything up, okay? If you have one sheet of a homogeneous substance, that might be difficult for the earthworms to penetrate. They might not want to penetrate that. So having different spots, sprinkling different things, layering like a lasagna, okay, like sheet gardening, is, in my opinion, the best way to go. In our hugelkultur beds, sure, we use logs, large pieces of wood, different vegetation. We're also doing that with a lasagna method, okay? So throughout, as we layer it, throughout each layer, we're going to be adding a mixture of different things. Diversity is key. Everything has different nutrient profiles, different compounds, different beneficial things for the soil and for your plants. So don't use one thing, okay? Diversity is key. And beyond nutrient profiles, diversity of texture is important. One of the things about clay soil, for example, is clay soil is largely a homogeneous soil type, so it's easily compacted. When you have a diversity of texture in your soil, that allows for better drainage, okay? We have, let me actually grab some right here. Boom. How you doing? Lobster shells, okay? That stuff crunched up is amazing. Besides the nutrients that it adds to soil, things like that, things like wood ash that has different size pieces, different size things, okay? We use shells from mussel, shells from oyster, shells from clams, whatever we can get our hands on that comes from the ocean, that comes from water is great, okay? Because it's going to prevent compaction. Stay away from homogeneous mixtures, whether that's potting soil, your in-ground soil, whatever it is. Your compost should be a mix of different items, different ingredients, if you will, look at it that way, and different textures, okay? All right, so get up, get out there. 34 degrees outside, making things happen in my pajamas. How you doing? Gardening year-round, feeding soil year-round. Get up and go, get up and grow. Get involved in the comments below, folks. Please subscribe. And hey, if you want to show us support, buy us a coffee. I'll leave the Buy Me a Coffee link in the description. That's a way that you folks can show our family some support for this information. Hopefully you learned something, got some motivation, reminded you of something valuable. And I don't have the pleasure of knowing you, all of you personally, so you can't buy me a coffee in person, but hey, buy me a digital coffee. Buy me a coffee that way, and I would super appreciate it. And I speak on behalf of my wife as well. We appreciate all of the support from you awesome people. Take Take care, everybody.